Okay, good evening, members. Welcome to the digital meeting of Democratic Services Committee, being held via Microsoft Teams on Wednesday, 19th of November, 2020 at 5 p.m. We've actually started at 5:02, but we'll give the 2 minutes. Just to confirm that this meeting will be recorded and made available to view via the Council's website, except for discussions involving confidential or exempt items. Therefore, the images, audio of those individuals present and or speaking will be publicly available to all via the recording of the Council's website at www.caerphilly.gov.uk. If members lose connection during the meeting, please make every attempt to reconnect. However, the meeting will continue as long as it remains quorate. Committee services staff are available and will be able to assist you to reconnect if necessary. Can I remind members to please mute their microphone, but to leave their cameras on? Can I please ask that officers have their microphones and cameras turned off until they are invited to present their reports or speak on an item? Members and officers should only activate their microphone after the chair has invited them to speak on an item. Today, we'll be using the forms function for voting on agenda items. Now, I'd like to take a roll call of everybody that's present. It's done in alphabetical order, so if you could just let me know, I would appreciate it. Councillor Andrews?
Present, Chair.
Councillor Bevan? We've managed to get connections with Councillor Bevan?
No, at the moment, Chair.
Okay. Well, I'm mute, Councillor Cushing. Councillor David? Councillor David? Oh, I can see you there.
Present.
Tudor? Yeah, you're there, Tudor.
Present, Chair.
Councillor Farina Charles?
Present, Chair.
Councillor Forehead?
Present, Chair.
Councillor Hussey?
Present, Chair.
Councillor Jeremiah?
Apologies, he's run a bit late there, Chair, but he will be joining the meeting later.
Okay, lovely. Councillor Kirby? Oh, you're there, Jess?
Yes, that's what I said, present.
Oh, didn't hear you. Your mic was on mute. Councillor Mann? Any apologies received for Councillor Mann? No? Councillor Oliver? Councillor Sargent?
Yes.
Councillor Thomas?
Present, Chair.
Councillor Whitcomb?
Present, Chair.
Councillor Williams? Okay, would all members, officers and staff present, would they please let the details known to Charlotte, please, who's recording the information for this meeting. Okay, so apologies for absence. I don't think Charlotte has actually received any apologies, but I've just been given a late apologies for Councillor Jeremiah, and hopefully Councillor Bevan will be able to join us shortly. Are there any other apologies that you're aware of? No? Okay, we'll go on to the next item. Declarations of interest. Councillors and officers are reminded of their personal responsibility to declare any personal and or prejudicial interest in respect of any item of business on this agenda, in accordance with the Local Government Act 2000, the Council's Constitution and the Code of Conduct for both councillors and officers. Please use hands up function to indicate if you have any such declarations. Can I just ask the Deputy Monitoring Officer regarding the issue on the IRP? do we as councillors need to declare an interest in this item? Because I noticed that it was mentioned in the minutes of last year, but it was noted as a personal interest rather than a prejudicial interest.
Yes, thank you, Chair. Just to say that obviously it's a matter for members, but again, it would be the same as last year if members were minded to declare an interest. It would be personal only. There is an exemption under the Code of Conduct where members can consider their own allowances and payments. So the interest is only personal if members wish to declare, so they can remain in the meeting and they can participate and vote.
Okay, thanks, Lisa. So there's no declarations. Okay, thanks. So we'd like to approve the minutes now of the Democratic Services Committee meeting held on the 20th of November 2019. So we'll go through page by page. Bear with me a second. Okay, page 1. Page 2. Page 3. Page 4. Does anybody want to move and second this item, please?
I move, Jez Kirby.
I'll second, Carl Thomas.
Could you show of hands now if you're agreeable to these minutes, please?
Chair, as I was not present at the last meeting, I wasn't a member of this committee the last time it met, I will abstain on this occasion.
Same as myself, Councillor Whitcomb.
Thank you, Chair.
I also wish to abstain. I didn't attend that meeting.
Okay, so members that were in attendance at that meeting, if
Chair,
they could
I wish to abstain as well. I wasn't at that meeting either. Councillor Fiona Childs.
Okay. Those who were in attendance, if we could show of hands.
Chair, could I just say that my hands up button is not coming up on my screen at the moment, but obviously I would put my hand up if it was available.
Okay, then, so verbal affirmation then. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So the 6 members that were present at the last meeting have agreed it. I think that's okay then, so we can put our hands down. Minutes passed. Okay, so we shall go on to agenda item number 4. Get off my mouse, get over there. Okay, agenda item number 4 is the Independent Remuneration Panel for Wales Draft Annual Report 2021-2022 and the supplementary report on the principles in respect of the reimbursement of costs of care. Right, I'd like to ask now Lisa Lane, Head of Democratic Services and Deputy Monitoring Officer, to give you a briefing on this item, please.
Thank you, Chair. Good evening, members. Members will note there are 2 aspects to this report. The first is to seek the views of the committee on the draft report from the Independent Remuneration Panel for Wales, which is attached at Appendix 1 to the report. And any comments then will be submitted to the panel by the 23rd of November, which is Monday. And then the second matter for members is to inform you of the publication of the supplementary report by the panel on the principles relating to the cost of care, and to ask committee to note and support those principles prior to a report being presented to council with a recommendation there that those principles are adopted. So just as a bit of background, obviously members will have had the report, but as a bit of background information, members will be aware that the Independent Remuneration Panel is the body tasked with setting the remuneration for members in Wales, and each year it publishes its draft annual report, for consultation, with the final report published then in February 2021. So there are currently no options relating to levels of remuneration which require a decision by council, and only individual members may communicate in writing to the proper officer, who in our case is the Chief Exec, if they wish to decline all or part of the payment to which they're entitled. So members will see that the full draft report is attached at Appendix 1 to my report, and the following determinations then relevant to principal councils are drawn to members' attention. So when making financial determinations for this draft report, the panel has considered the progression of a variety of benchmark figures outlined above for the period of from 2012 to 2020, and any adjustments in recent years have been in keeping with the panel's principles that its determinations should be affordable and acceptable. So this principle is maintained in this draft report for 2021-22, and an increase of £150 in the basic salary for members is proposed. So in practical terms, the basic salary will increase from £14,218 to £14,368 per annum, with effect from the 1st of April 2021. In relation to senior salaries, there's no change on the number, which is capped at 18 for Caerphilly, and it is proposed that the senior salaries are increased at the same rate as the basic salaries, which is 1.06%. So members will note then the table of changes set out in the report at paragraph 5.4.2. An increase then in civic salaries is also proposed, with the civic head increased to from 22,918 to 23,161, and the deputy civic head then increased to £18,108. Members are reminded that these posts are not included within the cap on senior salaries. So there's also an increase for a presiding member, however this provision is not applicable in Caerphilly. So moving on then to the determination 33, although not specifically relating to members' remuneration, the panel's proposed an increase of £12 to £210 daily rate for an ordinary and co-opted member and for those with additional responsibility. And members will note the table on pages 30 and 31 of the draft report shows those increases. Moving on then to determination 39 and section 10 of the report, there have been a number of changes in relation to this section, which relates to the contribution towards the cost of care and personal assistance. So this section applies to all members of principal councils, national park authorities, fire and rescue authorities and co-opted members of those authorities, and the same provisions then apply to community and town councils. So the purpose of section 10 is to enable people who have personal support needs and or caring responsibilities to carry out their duties effectively as a member of the authority. And the panel believe that the additional costs of care to carry out approved duties should not deter any individual from becoming and remaining a member of an authority or even limit their ability to carry out the role. So the panel has adopted specific principles recently in relation to the support for costs of care, which were the subject of the supplementary report in May this year, and I'll outline that later on in my introduction. However, paragraph 5.6.3 of the report sets out a number of changes proposed, which include the following. As the payments are taxable under HMRC rules, full reimbursement would not be possible. So for clarity, the panel proposes that the provision will be retitled contribution towards the cost of care and personal assistance. Claims can be made in respect of a dependent under 16 or a minor or an adult who normally lives with a member as part of their family and who cannot be left unsupervised. The report goes on to say then clarification in respect of a member's own care or support needs. Reimbursement may be claimed where the support and or cost of any additional needs are not available or are not met directly by the authority, such as access to work, personal payments, insurance, etc. And these could arise when the needs are recent and or temporary. Members, including co-opted members, are entitled to claim towards the costs of care and personal assistance for activities that the council has designated official business or approved duty, which might include the appropriate and reasonable preparation and travelling time. And it is a matter then for individual authorities to determine those specific arrangements. The panel has also reviewed the maximum monthly payment in recognition that it has not changed for many years. Members will be aware the amount is capped at the moment at £403 per month. However, information indicates the monthly costs and claims vary considerably and can depend on a number of dependents, their ages and other factors. Therefore, the panel is proposing that the monthly cap is replaced and will be replaced with the following determination. So formal, which means registered with Care Inspectorate Wales care costs to be reimbursed in full. informal unregistered costs to be reimbursed up to a maximum rate equivalent to the real living wage at the time the costs are incurred. And in relation to the reference to the reimbursement in full of formal care costs, the panel recognised that this would need clarification, as of course the payment is taxable. And then for clarification, then care costs cannot be paid to someone who is part of a member's household. So reimbursement must be for additional costs incurred by members to enable them to carry out official business or approved duties. And each authority must ensure that any payments made are appropriately linked to official business or approved duty. And reimbursement then shall only be made on production of receipts from the carer. So the panel continues to recognise the issues relating to the publication of this expense, and members may recall at the meeting of Council in April 2018 that Council agreed to publish the total costs of this care expense, but not attribute it to the name of any member. So that's the overall view of the changes set out in the draft annual report. Turning now to the supplementary report published on the principles specifically on the reimbursement of costs of care. Members will be aware that the panel has for many years endeavoured to find ways to increase the take-up of this support and keeps this provision under constant review. And so the supplementary report is a stage in the continuing review process. So the provision of financial support for members with care and responsibilities is an important factor in improving and sustaining the diversity of membership. So it is essential that the clarity is available, that there is clarity in the availability and access to this support. So looking at Appendix 2 in relation to the supplementary report, members will note there are 7 principles set out. I won't go through them in detail, but obviously happy to discuss. So there's the first one, it must be clear who it's for, and there's a suggestion that there's a confidential review of those needs, which should be undertaken annually and when circumstances change. 2, awareness should be raised to ensure clear and easy information is available on the website. There should be a positive culture promoted and encouragement within and across all parties of relevant authorities to support members' claims. Part 4 refers to the setting out of approved duties. Now, the report lists the approved duties that Gifferley currently has in relation to its schedule of remuneration. But members will note the supplementary report refers to both formal meetings and those necessary for a member to do his or her constituency work, and it also specifically references travel and preparation time. And the supplementary report states that it is a minimum a council should do. As such, when the report is presented to council seeking implementation, approval will also be sought for the Head of Democratic Services to amend the schedule of remuneration accordingly, so to make it clear for members as to what can be claimed. And then moving on, the examples set out in Part 5 be as enabling as possible about the types of claim and have a simple and effective process, and then compliance with the IRP publication rules. Members would note the provisions of the draft annual report and supplementary report as outlined, and are asked to consider the recommendations set out in paragraph 3. Chair, I leave it at that in case, unless any members have any queries. Thank you very much.
Okay, thanks, Lisa. It's quite a comprehensive report if anybody's read it, but I think it's quite encouraging to note as well how it's trying to make people who have difficulties in becoming into public life and trying to make it easier for them to be able to enter into public life. Now, if you have any questions, could you show your hands up, please? And I'm sure Lisa will do her best to answer. No questions? Oh, that's good. Oh, hang on. Here they go. Okay, Councillor Whitcomb.
Yeah, only an observation, Chair. I mean, I was reading the report with interest about the remuneration and the increase in salaries that both MPs and MSs have had over the period. And I've done a rough calculation. If we'd had the same as the members of the Senate, our salaries would be £17,272. Now, I don't know if anybody else thinks that, but I think that amount of money is too large. I know where the that we spend a lot of time and hours on the salary that we currently enjoy for doing our public duties. But I think a higher salary might attract the wrong type of person. And I'm quite happy to receive the amount of remuneration I receive. Thank you, Chair.
I couldn't agree more, actually. Anybody else got any questions? Okay, then, if that's been the case, can we go forth and recommendation starting on the end of page 6 and continues on to page 7, paragraph 3.1 and 3.2. Sorry, oh, I thought somebody might have had a hand up then, something popped up. 3.1, sorry, to comment on the panel's draft annual report for 2021-2022 attached at Appendix 1, which will be submitted to the Independent Remuneration Panel for Wales by the Head of Democratic Services by the 23rd of November 2020. And 3.2, to note and support the principles set out within the supplementary report attached at Appendix 2, which aim to promote and encourage the take-up by members of the financial support in respect of the cost of care before a report is taken to Council, with the recommendation that the principles are adopted. So would somebody like to move and second the report?
Move, Madam Chair.
I'll second, Madam Chair.
Okay, lovely. Can we then go to the vote on the forms function, please? Oh, hang on, Lisa's got an hand up.
Sorry, Chair, can I just clarify what response members would like me to provide on the draft report? Would they just like me to say that members note the report? Just for clarification, thank you.
I think unless anybody else has any suggestions, I think we'll go ahead with that we note the report and for Lisa to submit that. Is that okay with everyone?
Yep.
Yeah, lovely. Thanks then. There you are, Lisa. Okay, so we can go now to the voting. Is the voting open yet, Charlotte?
It's in the chat, Chair.
So click on the chat. Oh, hang on, mine didn't go. There you are. So if everybody could click on the chat and vote on this item, for, against or abstain. We'll give you about 30 seconds to submit your voting. Okay, thanks for that. Well, it's carried fully, quite comprehensively. 11 for, none against, none abstentions. Okay, so I think this brings us to the conclusion of our meeting today. I would like to thank everyone for attending this evening's Democratic Services Committee, the first one this year. And I declare this meeting closed and you may now hang up.
Cheers all, bye.
All of that.
Bye, bye everyone.
Bye.
Lovely to see you.
Tudor, do you want me to ring you now?
Bye, everyone.
If you want.